The movie starts with a view worthy of a wallpaper under an explanation about metahumans, a brief mention about Clark's arrival on Earth, the fact he has been Superman for 3 years and that 3 weeks prior to this movie he stopped Boroviya from invading Jarhanpur, which was controversial. And then after 2 more explanations about how he fought the Hammer of Boroviya and lost for the first time, we finally see the underwear over pants, but he is all beaten. Then Krypto comes and drags Clark to this huge hidden spaceship which nobody on Earth had noticed until this moment. In there, robots that don't need thanks because they have no consciousness and will not appreciate it put on Clark's parents' message to play as soothing, yet half of it got damaged while he takes a sun bath for healing and while the engineer looked for him. Once done, he sees that Krypto made a mess and keeps messing around until Superman goes flying away back to the fight against this robot that was being controlled by Luthor and his employees while Luthor's girlfriend took selfies with the fight as background. The engineer finds the hidden spaceship, but Luthor tells her to come back and the robot's fight is over for now that Superman has fallen and Molly helps him out of the asphalt. Also, one of the bystanders says that maybe Superman shouldn't have done that thing at Jarhanpur. The robot goes somewhere else, passes by 2 portals and returns to LexCorp building, where it is shown he is actually Ultraman. On the next day, Clark, who uses a broccoli hairstyle so nobody knows he is Superman, gets a call from his parents congratulating him for the front page article he wrote. Yes, paper newspapers are still very popular in this universe. Meanwhile, Luthor tried to sell weapons to the USA government, yet he received a no. Later, Lois finds Clark in her apartment making dinner. Then she starts interviewing him as Superman, as according to her someone might figure out he is interviewing himself. And no, Clark, the broccoli, the thing that makes you unrecognizable, is not the glasses. Yet this interview ends up quickly, pretty much like it would have gone by if they didn't know each other. And Lois says she knew it was going to end up like that because she isn't good at relationships. I don't get why she mentioned it right now, but anyway. Lex, his Barbie girlfriend, the engineer, and Ultraman arrive at Antarctica, and as soon as they get close to the Kryptonian spaceship, it rises up and they get in easily, as it has no security system. Also, in this universe, did they send a newborn in the big spaceship, or was this Supergirl spaceship with a USB drive from Clark's pod? Anyway, those easily breakable robots are easily broken, and we see the engineer's coolest power. She can take her head out of her ass. Also, she can get into alien computers and recover messages. Meanwhile, Superman fights this big-ass monster that started as very small. Then after he saves a dog, we get a trailer's first scene. Then the Justice Gang appears and starts attacking the monster through its eye, while Superman saves a girl, and then a squirrel. Then the monster dies by getting its internal organs exploded, which leaves Superman upset, not only because he saw exactly what happened through his X-ray vision, but also because he wanted to capture it or euthanize it in a less painful way. And as soon as the day is saved, there is a breaking news about Superman's parents' full message, which was basically them telling him to do shit on Earth, which makes everyone suddenly turn on him right after saving everyone without human casualties. Basically, Superman was cancelled. Then not much later it is mentioned like 3 times that the message is 100% authentic, and the only 2 people to believe it are former Crossbones, currently Rick Flag Sir, and the Boravian president, who not only has a painting of himself in his office but also a portal that leads to Luthor's pocket dimension. At Antarctica, Superman soothes a dying robot, even though they have no conscience and will not appreciate it, and just then he notices that Krypto was taken by Luthor, who live streams the Pacific meeting with him, which ends up on TV and leads to a Peacemaker cameo. As soon as Clark gets into his apartment, he and Lois have a conversation with an interdimensional imp fight as background, which starts about Clark's biological parents' full message, and how he thought it would end with them telling him to be good, then how Lois did not thought that he would do any of what was said, so it ends up with Clark saying he is going to turn himself in, as he wants to find Krypto. Lois even says that it is just a dog, but she does not know Krypto also has powers. And Clark tells Lois he loves her. Also, as the government has limitations on how to detain him, they send Superman to Planet Watch. From there he is taken to the Pocket Universe, where he gets trapped inside a glass cube, which could be easily broken. Then as he mentions Lex's obsession with him is very weird, and Luthor mentions he is not his type. A Slenderman-like creature starts driving this floating thing. Once the explanation about the Pocket Universe ends, Rex, the Element Man, makes a kryptonite stone hand. Meanwhile, Lois tried to figure out the connection between Superman's imprisonment, the conflict between Boroviya and Jarhanpur, and the fact that Luthor is behind both. Soon she finds out through Jimmy Olsen's connection that Luthor is keeping Superman in a pocket universe. where Krypto is imprisoned as well, running after digital squirrels, and this place has a lot of cyborg monkeys that throw hate on Superman and the internet, and the cell cubes are rented by governments to be used as a prison for political agitators, and where Rex's son is being kept. Also, this is the place Lex sends his ex-girlfriends, which is why Eve doesn't break up with him, and for that reason she had to speak with Jimmy at an alleyway, as that was the only place she found that had no cameras, as Luthor looks at the traffic cameras to know where she is. And she agrees to search for more information about Baravia's conflict, so Jimmy publishes it, which will take Luthor out of the picture. Then Jimmy and Eve can be together, which made Jimmy not very happy about it. Anyway, Lois goes to the Justice Hall, which is a very big and empty place, to talk with the Justice Gang members, who dislike this name except for Green Lantern. And yes, they know Superman is Clark Kent and that he uses hypnoglasses. About Superman's imprisonment and what they should do about it, which is basically nothing. Yet as Lois leaves the building, Mr. Terrific says they should at least check what is going on. Meanwhile, Lex kills Molly while questioning Superman. Later, Lois and Mr. Terrific arrive at the beach where the Pocket Universe's entrance is, and some armor guys start shooting. Mr. Terrific and his robot balls fight them while Lois remains safe and sound inside an energy shield that is in the middle of the way, so she gets a great view of what is happening around. They find the portal, which makes Mr. Terrific worried as a single mistake of the size of a picometer could create a black hole right on where Earth used to be. As the portal gets open, Element Man decides to undo the kryptonite hand as he felt bad for what happened to Molly, and Clark promised to save his son. Yet as there was no sunlight in there, Superman was still too weak, so Element Man makes a small mini-sun thing that somehow did not fry that place. At the same moment Mr. Terrific sent 2 T-spheres in there. Krypton is freed, and the CGI ugly baby must be held by Superman as for some reason Rex cannot hold him while transformed. Well, now that he transformed his body into acid to throw on the armors makes sense. While Superman and Joey are swinging on the antiproton river that seems to only tears apart humans, and it ends in a black hole, yet all 4 of them quickly get out of it thanks to Squiggle Man's pull and Clark's freezing breath. They follow the remaining T-sphere, as Krypto broke the first one, that leads to the way out, where Krypton breaks another sphere, and the portal was broken for spending too long open. Anyway, as Clark is going to need a day or 2 to heal from kryptonite poisoning and Mr. Terrific needs to stay to monitor the portal, he lets Lois borrow the ship that she drives with no problems as its controls are easy and intuitive. As soon as Luthor finds out Superman escaped, he gets into a fit of rage, discounts it on his employees and Eve, which leads to her sending her selfies with informations to Jimmy with the condition of them spending the weekend together. Yet he is not very much into this idea, but she ends up sending the pictures anyway as she is caught and then placed in a cage. Lois arrives at Clark's parents' farm, and soon she receives Jimmy's news and Eve's selfies. Yet at this same moment, Luthor reopens the broken portal, which could cause a dimensional rift, as a way to make Superman go back there. The next day, Clark spoke with his dad about the second part of his biological parents' message, and how it made him not know who he is, as he expected something else. Jonathan tells him that what Clark expected tells more about who he is than the message itself, and that parents are not supposed to tell their children who they must be, but to give them the tools so they build it on their own. Then, Clark and his parents, Rex, wait, he had a kid with a human, and the other members of the Justice Gang see on the TV that Boravian troops are about to invade Jarhamper. At the same moment an opening rift is about to hit Metropolis, and Mr. Terrific needs Clark in there right now, or the planet is going to be doomed. And the reason Luthor has been selling weapons to Boravia for a low price is he wants half of Jarhamper's territory to create an utopia and for the petroleum deposits in the area, and all that is published as the city is getting destroyed. Superman arrives at Metropolis, and the plan was he gets the portal's code and Mr. Terrific hacks it, but the Engineer and Ultraman arrive, and as soon as Superman's face lungs are filled with nanoparticles, Boravian's army invades Jarhamper, and Superman flies until the stratosphere, then falls down back to the ground with both the Engineer and Ultraman still holding him, which makes the Engineer unconscious and allows him to vomit the nanoparticles. Then he sees that Ultraman is a clone of himself, made with a damaged DNA sample or something like that is controlled by Luthor, and is stronger than Clark. As they fight, Justice Gang intervenes in the Boravian conflict, and Hawk Girl throws the Boravian president head down on a building so he could properly think about his actions, out of this realm. Then Clark gets beaten by Ultraman, Luthor does a monologue, then Clark is beaten again, then he calls Krypto, who was eating snacks in a pet store, but he soon arrives and pushes Ultraman away, then he destroys all of Luthor's cameras while Clark returns fighting Ultraman, and then the Raptors, and then Ultraman again, who ends up being thrown in a black hole. At Luthor Corp, Luthor decides to only close the rift from the bunker before it gets in a city he likes, as the neighbor city likes Superman or something. But before they could get in there, Superman, Krypto and Mr. Terrific arrive. As both Luthor and Clark discuss about how Luthor hates Superman for being an alien and how Superman is as human as everyone else, Mr. Terrific starts closing the rift. Then once Luthor starts talking about the fact the government gave him authority to kill Superman, Krypto gets mad and softly attacks him. The rift is closed, and Luthor's involvement in the Boravian conflict appears on the news. But why that place had a television on the news channel, or why the computers have one specific button that switches directly to a news channel, is never explained. Then, as Luthor is arrested, some prisoners from the Pocket University are released. Clark gives Lois an interview as Superman, but actually they just kiss and Lois says she loves him too. Sometime later, as Superman gets examined by a robot, Kara arrives, complaining that the front door was moved, and asking where her dog is. And then we see why Krypto has behavior issues. Also, Clark tells Gary Robot that Kara likes to go partying on planets with red suns, which is the type that allows them to get drunk. As she leaves, one of the robots puts footages from Clark's human parents to play as soothing while he heals through photosynthesis. Then we have two post-credit scenes, one with Superman hugging Krypto as he watches Earth from the moon, and the second he and Mr. Terrific are staring to a building's wall that got crooked after the rift was closed. Then Mr. Terrific asks what he is supposed to do, open the rift and close it again? That is it. Hey, don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment.